The 8-Minute Devotion is on a 12-week break for the summer. We'll be back with brand new episodes on September 9th. Until then, enjoy this episode from our classic I Am series, first recorded back in 2019. God bless and have a great summer.
Yo, 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 welcome back to the 8-Minute Devotion. So glad you can join us as we are in our look at the 7 I Ams of Jesus, the 7 I Ams of Jesus that are given to us in the Gospel of John. Jesus said, I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. I am the door of the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the true vine. And with all of these I ams, Jesus was showing us an essential part of his character. He also, of course, by the very statement, I am, was connecting himself to his Father, who was making it clear to the Jewish people listening to him that he was the Son of God, that he was God, that he was greater than the other prophets. He was not just another Moses, not just another Abraham, not just another one like Noah, but that he was God. That's what he was doing by saying, I am. And before we look at the third of the I ams, which will start tomorrow, I want to talk a bit about the concept of I am again today. Let me ask you this. What name do you like to be known by? Have you ever had to correct how people say or pronounce your name? Or do you want to be known by a certain way? I remember I had a grandmother who had one name as her first name, another name as her middle name, and she never let people call her by her first name. She always wanted to be called by her middle name. That was the name that she chose. That was the name she preferred. And maybe it was something, I don't know all the history, but maybe her parents and family had always called her by the middle name. So nobody was allowed to call her by her first name. And I've known many people throughout my life. They have a certain way they like to be addressed, a certain name that they like to be called. And all of us in one way or another like this. I wouldn't want someone to make up their own nickname for me. I have a certain name that I expect to be called. And well, I wonder as we talk about that, what name does God want to be known as? What was the name God told his people to call him? Well, specifically, what name did God tell Moses to give to the Israelites? If you remember, Moses was standing before God. God had called Moses in the burning bush. God tells Moses, go to my people, tell them that I'm going to set them free. Tell the Israelites that it's time for them to be set free from Egypt. Go to the Israelites. And Moses is looking for excuses. Moses is scared. He doesn't know what to do. So he says, God, I don't even know what to tell them. I don't even know your name. What name do I give to the Israelites? And then God says to Moses, tell them I am has sent me. Tell them I am has sent me to you. And of course, that's one of those revered names of God. That's why Jesus kept saying, I am. And then God elaborates on what his actual name is. In Exodus 3:14 and 15, he said, I am has sent me to you. Then he explains it in a bit more detail. Exodus 3, verse 14 and 15. God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. God also said to Moses, say this to the people of Israel, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and thus I am to be remembered throughout all generations. So here God gave to Moses his name, I am who I am. I am who I am. That, of course, is the name. That, of course, if it's pronounced today, the way we pronounce it is Yahweh. His name is Yahweh. God tells Moses, my name is Yahweh, and that name means I am who I am. His name, Yahweh, is a name considered so holy that even to this day, Orthodox Jews won't write it out. But what's the genesis of that name? Why do we say that that name means I am that I am? Well, Yahweh is built out of the word I am. It's basically in Hebrew, in the original Hebrew of this name, it's a four-consonant tetragram that gives the name of God in Hebrew. It's built on the concept of 2B. So it's a little difficult to explain briefly, but it's four different consonants in Hebrew, and these four consonants, when put together, they mean to be. Just to be. The state of being, God is saying, I am, and it's combined with a personal pronoun with those four consonants. One of them is the personal pronoun, which sort of means I am. To be, it just is what I am. I exist. This is the first use of the name Yahweh is here in Exodus 3:15. I am that I am. And God tells Moses, this is the name I want to be known by. I am. I am that I am. This is its first use in Exodus 3 and verse 15. And then this name Yahweh, it goes on to appear 6,828 times in the Hebrew Old Testament. In our modern English translations, normally when you see the word Lord in the Old Testament in all capital letters, that is the word Yahweh. When you see that, it means Yahweh. He is saying, I am the great I am. I am the eternally existent. Every time you hear that name Jehovah, every time you hear that name Yahweh, it's a declaration of God. I am who I am. Why is that God's name? Why was that so important? God is making it clear that he is not contingent on anyone else, that his existence is not dependent on anyone else, but that he simply is. He simply is. He simply always has been. He is the eternally existent, eternally self-sufficient one, the great I am. That is the name God wanted to be known by. That's the name he still wants to be known by. Now, of course, he also is known as Jesus, Yeshua. There are many names of God he gave us to call him by. Even all the names in the Old Testament, Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Nisi, Jehovah Rapha, all of those names start with Jehovah or Yahweh, the Lord saying, I am that I am. I simply always have been. So that's again why it's so important. When Jesus said, I am, he is explicitly connecting himself to the Father. He's telling his listeners, and he's telling us today, just as the Father always has been, so I always have been. I am connected to that. And that's how I want you to know me. That's how I want you to look upon me. The one who is eternally self-sufficient, the one who is the creator of all, the one who is the Father of all. That's what Jesus is connecting himself to. I am. And I just think it's so interesting that out of all the names, when Moses said, Lord, what's the name you want me to tell the Israelites that you are? What's the name you want me to give them? Out of all his names that God could have chosen, he chose Yahweh. He chose the name I am. I simply am. I eternally exist. That is important for us to realize. Jesus is. And we're going to continue looking at this, especially tomorrow as we look at the third I am the door of the sheep. Thank you for listening. We'll be back on the 8-Minute Devotion.
Thank you for listening to the 8-Minute Devotion. We trust you've been encouraged and blessed today. Please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or by visiting the8minutedevotion.podbean.com. For questions or comments, please email us at the8minutedevotion@gmail.com or visit our Facebook page. We would love to hear from you.